So welcome to PEP session 13. It's hard to believe we're past the halfway point now. We have 24 parts and wow, it feels great to be over the hump. So this is Hump Day Wednesday and Hump Day PEP Day as well. So thank you guys for your persistence and coming back. And I really truly hope that you're getting something beneficial and good out of the program. So today's topics, we're going to be covering habits, helpful or hindering. As always, someone's going to get us up and moving with a little bit of easy anytime exercises. Today we're going to cover the 6th out of 6 nutrient categories of foods, which is protein. And our wellness topic today is on enzymes. But first, as always, we're going to start off with some positive words, a little bit of energy and power and passion. We're going to start on the health side first, on 3 after me. 1, 2, 3. I am appreciative. Oh, I'm sorry. Wealth side first. Oh, open mouth and so. Wealth side first. On 3 after me. I am appreciative of the time and every moment I am alive, especially now. I invest my time daily in my most valuable asset, me. I am grateful for everything in my life, whether it's a blessing or a challenge, tremendous or tiny. I am a motivated, self-starting doer who shuns procrastination and hesitation. I will use my experiences, whether good or bad, right or wrong, to evolve, learn, gain wisdom, and grow. All right, now health side. On 3 after me. 1, 2, 3. I may not be a doctor, but I'm earning my PhD in practicing health daily. I will underwrite my own insurance policy and do everything possible to maximize my life and protect my health. I will achieve wellness by creating balance in my life. I realize that my greatest wealth is in my health, and I strive to become wealthy every day. I am strong, beautiful, unique, energized, and passionate, and I'm getting healthier, happier, and more successful day by day. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, and say, get ready to grow. Ready to grow. Okay, our motivational message today comes from Aristotle. Anybody ever heard of Aristotle? Very old guy, Greek philosopher, very wise. And thousands of years ago, he recognized and realized that we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an act, but it's a habit. You know, there's little things that we do on a daily basis over and over again form us and shape us and really determine who we become in life. So our topic, our personal development topic today is all about habits. Now habits, we all agree, I think, can be positive and empowering or negative and distracting as well. But these habits, because they're so ritualistic, they become ingrained in us, and lots of times we're not even conscious of our habits. That's kind of the definition of a habit, an unconscious habit or an unconscious act that we do continuously over and over again. So habits, it's easy to fall into negative habits and negative patterns, and it's easy to get distracted and sidetracked because of these little routines that start to eat away at so much of our time. You think about it, everybody, I love Facebook, and it's a habit for me to go on each day and kind of see what's going on. And if I can limit that habit to 5 minutes, it's brilliant. If I let it get the best of me, and the next thing I know, I've lost an hour or so of times that I could be doing a positive habit. So instead of serving habits, being a slave to your habits, instill some habits in yourself that are going to help you get better. You know, they're going to help you reach the goals that you want in life. You know, if it's a weight loss goal that you're pursuing, then these habits should be things that revolve around weight loss. You know, the easy anytime exercises that Stillman does, habits like juicing or cooking healthily. So try to surround yourself with habits that are going to help you and not hinder you. How many days does it take on average to form a habit? Does anybody know?
Approximately what, 21?
That's exactly right. Research shows that if you do a task repeatedly over and over again for 21 days consecutively, that habit, well, that act becomes a habit and sticks with you. How long does it take to break a habit?
7 days.
1 day, 7 days. I say, my philosophy is it takes 1 split second of thought to break a habit. You can make the decision right now that, you know what, I am not going to do that again. I did that when I became a vegetarian. Just one day I said, you know what, enough's enough. I had a lot of scare factor around me, and I had some positive influence as well. And I said, I'm breaking the habit of eating meat, and I've never done it since. I've seen people quit drinking cold turkey, quit smoking cold turkey. It was that one instance of thought. Now, making the habit stick, that's another story. So it's easy to make that thought. You know, I have a friend of mine that jokes, he's like, yeah, I quit drinking last night at 2 a.m. and I'll probably quit Friday night again too. So, you know, it's easy to quit and to make that thought to break that habit, but how do you make it stick? Let's talk about that. Number 1, make a habit stick by implementing something positive in its place, like break 1 bad habit, start 1 new habit, 1 at a time. Now, I firmly believe that everyone has the ability to make drastic change in their lives. Sometimes we're thrust into it, other times our desires push us in that direction to make drastic change. But for implementing new habits or removing old habits, don't overwhelm yourself at first until you get good at it. Just pick 1 thing, just 1 thing that you don't like that you do, and resolve to not do that anymore, and then pick 1 good thing that you would like to implement in its place. Number 2, replace a bad habit with a good one. So you got a bad one you're getting rid of, a good one that you're bringing into the mix, and you can easily, you know, if you have a habit that's consuming a lot of your time, or a habit that you do in a particular environment, find something else positive you can do in that same environment and switch the 2. Number 3, go for consistency over performance at first. One of my goals and one of my habits is I do push-ups every single day. I absolutely love doing push-ups, and it's something you can do anywhere, anytime, any place. You don't have to have gym clothes. And you know, it's overwhelming at first. I set some lofty goals. I want to do 50 or 100 push-ups a day. And then I realized that I was making excuses. Oh, I just ate, I don't feel like doing it. Or I'm tired, I had a rough day. So I was missing days. So I made up my mind that come hell or high water, as my grandfather would say, I'm doing 1 push-up a day. And I do. Some days I do 1, some days I do 101. Not consecutively, but in sets. So break it down to the simplest thing. You know, if it's a sales goal that you have, just make that 1 call a day. Just get in the habit of doing 1 thing. The numbers will come once that habit forms. You know, 1 push-up takes 1 second, whereas 30 push-ups you can do in a minute, and then it just gets easier and easier once the habit's formed. Number 4, get leverage. Leverage yourself. Give a $100 bill to a friend or an accountability partner or a coach. I'll be happy to help you guys out with this if you need any support. Give them a $100 bill and make them aware of your goal to break that habit. Say, I'm trying to go 21 days without doing A, B, and C. Now, you be honest with that person. You know, you communicate with them and you say, okay, I've been a week, I've been 2 weeks, and they're going to encourage you. But if you fall off the wagon, guess what? You just gave your friend a $100 bill. So, you know, leverage yourself like that, and use little things. Announce it to the public. I did a weight loss challenge myself personally, January through April, and I put it out on my blog to everybody. Mike W. from Auto, he did the same thing. He announced back in January a weight loss goal that he had, announced it to all 300 and some of his employees. Talk about accountability and motivation and leverage over yourself. It's powerful. Number 5, remove temptation. You know, if you're a smoker, and I know we don't have any smokers in this room, but if you were a smoker, throw the cigarettes away. Don't go in the convenience store. Pay for your gas at the pump. Whatever you can do to separate yourself from that temptation, not having to see, the product, not having it in your reach. And throw the cookies away if you're on a healthy eating regimen. Number 6, associate with role models. And I love this one. They say that we become an average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So seek out people that have common goals with you, that have accomplished the goals that you want to accomplish, and that have the same mindset and have the positive habits that you want to implement. And surround yourself by those people. Know the benefits and know the pain. when you start to think about your habits and what direction the negative ones are pulling you toward and what direction positive ones could be taken, it becomes very clear when you reach that fork in the road and you have to make a decision which way to go. I've had some coaching clients I've worked with that had struggled for years to quit smoking and quit and started on and off. And so I did an exercise for them where, bought some flowers and they smelt the flowers and Febreze and all these fresh scents. And even though they were all, bound up with cigarette smoke and toxins, they were able to smell those good smells. Then I had them do a powerful exercise. I had them take those flowers to a nursing home and go visit someone who was on an iron lung or who had that, what's the larynx thing called where you hold the machine? Tracheotomy, yeah. So I had them go and visit someone in that condition, and they shared their stories. And guess how effective that was in getting people to quit smoking? You take something positive, the flowers, you give them to something that was causing, something that was a product of the negative situation. They had that experience and it sticks. So think about, what experiences you could create for yourself that would cause that pleasure and that pain instinct within you to become more vivid, that will help you make better decisions and help you break those bad habits and create new ones. So one of my favorite habits is exercise, and I love the regimen that Stillman has put together for you guys. I spent over 40 hours in a car driving up to New York last weekend. Had a lot of time to do my stomach vacuums, my breathing, my neck exercises. I also do rest stop yoga. And it really made the drive so much more pleasant because 40 hours in the car is pretty daunting. So I'm going to turn it over to Stillman and get him to get us up and active. Thank you, Stillman.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody please stand up and stretch a little bit. Okay, we've gone over the posture, right? So let's everybody find their balance. Okay, remember what we said. Your knees are slightly bent, your feet are shoulder width apart. You're looking for an even balance in the palm, the bottom of your foot where the ball is and the heel. So you're looking for that evenness there. So everybody wants to find that, okay? So what we're going to do first is we're just going to do a breathing exercise. Same thing. What's the cadence? Who remembers?
1, 4, 2.
Okay,
7,
that's the ratio.
14.
That's good. Very good. Okay. All right, so we inhale for 7 seconds. We hold for 28. We exhale for 14. Ready? Go. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Relax. Okay, who remembers the cadence for the stomach vacuums? What's the count? How many seconds? 15. Very good. All right, so while we're standing, because we usually do them seated, so I'm changing it up a little bit. We're going to do a stomach vacuum. So we're going to take a deep breath in. Just listen first. Deep breath in. Exhale. Then what I want you to do is put your thumbs right below your ribs, and then your little fingers down around your hip, your pelvic area, okay? And that's going to help you visualize that feeling of sucking your abdominal to your spine. Okay, so get your posture, put your fingers there, take a deep breath in, exhale. All right, suck that abdominal belly button to your spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Relax. Okay, you can each have a seat. Okay, last week we went over, who remembers? What was the stretch that we reviewed? Let's do the stretch we reviewed last week first. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to do a review because that way I want to get you into, what's the topic today?
Habits.
Easy anytime exercise is very good. But we're talking about habits. All right, so time management is what we're learning. And we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's how do we invest it in ourselves? All right, so what we're going to do, remember we've done a lot with the wrist because we sit at a desk a lot and we're tensing up these arms. All right, so open hand, put your right hand totally out, open your fingers, let them stretch out. Okay, make a fist. All right, now you want your arms straight. We're going to roll. Remember how we did the wrist rolls? You're going to roll 1, 2, and you should be hearing some popping in there. 3, going 5 times. 4, 5, reverse. 1, this is loosening up these tendons. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, bend your elbow so you're at a 90 degree. Keep the fist. Now you're going to roll it at your elbow to loosen up the elbow some more. See the pops? Okay, then reverse it. 3 one way, then 3 the other. Okay, switch. Left hand out, open the fingers, let them stretch. All right, make a fist. We roll 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then reverse. You're going to hear a lot of popping. 1, 2, 3. Okay, make the fist still. 90 degrees. Elbow. Go 3 times one way. 1, 2, 3. Then reverse. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Everybody sit a little bit towards the edge of their seat. All right, today what we're going to do for the easy anytime exercise, we're going to try to work the hips a little bit more and the lower back. This is where we're going. Okay, so what we want to do is with your feet flat on, put your feet totally together and knees totally together. All right, what you're going to do is take your left hand and put it on your right outside of that knee. You're going to take your right hand and if you can, reach to the back of your seat. You're going to take a deep breath in. Exhale and slowly twist to your right. Slowly twist. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. All right. Then 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it come back to center. All right. Sit up straight. Shoulders, posture. All right. We're going to add a stomach vacuum with it. We're stacking it. Remember we talked about that? Left hand goes on outside of the right thigh. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Suck the abdominal in, hand on the back of the chair, twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it. 1, 2, then come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, relax. All right, so we're stretching that lower back. All right, right hand goes to left knee. All right, left hand goes on the back of the chair. Okay, you're going to just slowly twist 4 seconds to the left now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. So we're loosening up the hips, the backs, and the obliques. All right, we're going to add the stomach vacuum today, just like we did on the other side. Right hand goes to outside of left knee. Left hand goes on back of the chair. Sit up straight. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Suck your abdominals in. Turn to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2. Then back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So that's first for the lower back. All right. The next one is separate your legs as far as you can. All right. Now, once again, everybody has different flexibility. So we're going to take it. Just watch for it. We're going to take a deep breath in. Exhale. Then I want to see if you can get, most of it is, should be able to get your wrists to your knees. So let's go elbows to your knees. Now, what I want you to understand, I'll get a different angle, is I want you to keep your torso up straight and your back flat. I don't want you to round it. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to stretch the lower back muscles that go into your butt muscles, okay? So everybody sit up straight. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and slide your wrists, your forearms to your elbows, to your knees to stretch that lower back. And hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Come all the way back up. All right? Deep breath in. We're going to add the stomach vacuum now. We're going to stay with this cadence though. So that's how long the stomach vacuum will be. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Suck your abdominals in. All right. Slide your forearms down your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we're trying to loosen up the hips because you sit a lot. So with a wider, with your legs, your base wider, you will be able to go farther forward. All right. So if you can stretch farther, okay, let's say I don't have that availability. All right. You can do the same thing at your desk. Put your feet wider, take the deep breath, sit up, flatten my back, put your arms out here and stretch forward on your desk. Okay, now you're multi in it. Forearm, lats, Abdominals, you can add the stomach vacuum, and you got your lower back, and you're getting your hips, and you're getting your butt muscles. So whether you do it on your desk, all right? So let's try, this would be an advanced one, all right? You're gonna try to see if you can go to the floor. Okay, now that's gonna really stretch the back, it's really gonna stretch the butt, it's really gonna stretch your adductors and your hips, okay? So everybody take it, we won't do the stomach vacuum, just flat out, hands forward. Take a deep breath in, exhale, keep your back flat, and go as far forward as you can, and see if you can touch the floor. All right, hold it, 1, 2, that's very good for the class. Then come back up slowly. Okay, so here's general rule of thumb. When in doubt, doing the exercises, do them slower. So that's a general principle. No fast jerky motions. Go to the movement, the range where there's no pain. Because some of you may have tender backs, and going too far forward here may aggravate your back. So that's it. Your range, it's called pain-free range of movement. Go to where there's no discomfort. Or you may have one hip that's a little more tender than the other. So you have to be cautious with that. So those are the basic principles. Slow, no jerking, and pain-free range of movement. Okay? Now as we're on habits, the challenge is to try to blend some of these easy anytime exercises that we've taught you into a daily habit of the 21 days like Sean was talking about. It doesn't matter which one it is. We just try to blend one of them. Okay? So that's my challenge to you, class.
Thank you.
We'll see. So today is the 9th, so 21 days will be the 30th, correct? All right, so that's going to be the challenge. Who's going to do it 21 days? That'll be the 30th of this month.
That's a great exercise for being in the car for a very long time too, by the way. So I did a lot of that, stretching a lot of the side-to-side bends and the forward stretch. So yeah, if you can create a habit, let's say every time you go to the fridge to get a snack, you have to do an exercise, or every time you go to the bathroom, you have to do some sort of stretch, or anything you can tag it to that you do regularly anyway will help you implement these little exercises as habits. And I promise you, if you do them long and consistently, you are going to see some pretty profound benefits over time. Protein. That's the topic of our nutritional component today. So everybody loves Popeye, right? Pops the can of spinach and muscles come out, and capable of doing some amazing things, leaps and bounds. He was one of my favorite cartoon characters as a kid, even before I started loving spinach. But spinach is my potato chip. I'll grab a bag of baby spinach and I will just eat it right out of the bag as if it were potato chips. That's one of my healthy habits that I eat. So next time you're in the store and you're thinking about potato chips, maybe try a bag of spinach instead and see. And kale chips too, actually, are very delicious too. We have some healthy recipes for kale chips, and they're super easy to make, especially if you have a dehydrator. So, let's quickly review the 6 nutrient categories of foods. We've covered 5, and the 6th today will be protein. Anybody want to take a stab at listing the previous 5 categories?
Carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, water.
Bingo. Right on point. You know what? Let's see.
Give him a clang.
How about a vitamin clean? The
All
best
right.
vitamin for a happy person is
All right.
B1. Indeed.
Thank you.
Yep, so William's exactly right. We covered vitamins, minerals, water, fats, and carbohydrates last week with our juicing demo. By the way, did you guys love the juice last week?
It's awesome.
Good. So today we're covering proteins, and proteins are essentially the building blocks of life. So proteins are structural molecules, and they're made up of amino acids, and these amino acids link together to form bonds or longer chain molecules called peptides or polypeptides. So they're essentially about 20 essential amino acids, 9 of which your body cannot make and must get from food. So these structural molecules are essential for all of our structure, our bones, our muscles, our teeth, our hair, our nails, and even our individual cells. The walls of the cells rely on proteins for their structure. So because of this, many people told me that when I decided to go vegetarian 17 years ago, and that was way before being vegetarian was even remotely popular, my mom almost had a coronary because she didn't know how she was going to cook for me. And all my friends I lifted weights with and worked out with, they said, dude, man, your hair's going to fall out, your bones are going to become brittle and break, and your teeth are going to rot out. Well, I'm proud to say 17 years later, I'm 38 years old now, and knock on wood as I say this, but I have never had a broken bone in my body. I've never had a cavity, and despite a very strong genetic predisposition to be bald in my early 20s, I'm hanging on to some hair too. So I just blew that protein myth right out of the water. We covered the protein myth back in week 3, very briefly, but I feel that it's so important, and it is the #1 thing. If you decide to go vegetarian or vegan and you tell somebody, probably the first thing they're going to ask you is, where do you get your protein, right? So, you know, there's this widespread belief and this common myth. I've heard people say, well, you need to eat your body weight in grams of protein each day. I've heard people say you need 40 to 60% of your calories should be protein based. So I've heard all these different things, and you can do your own research, and depending on the beliefs of the person that did the research, et cetera, that you're going to find all different kinds of thoughts and ideas and philosophy and research that supports all different notions and models. But it is my belief, and through the research that I trust and believe in, that high protein diets can actually do a lot of harm to your body. Digesting proteins, particularly animal proteins I'm referring to here, creates a lot of toxic byproducts in the body, particularly uric acid. They can harm and damage our liver, our kidneys, and our other organs, and throw the pH in our bodies way off, which we talked about the importance of pH a couple of weeks ago. So, how much protein do we need? Like, who can we trust? Like, what would be a reliable source, or what would be an instinctual, a natural source that we can pull? Well, when you think about protein as a building block, as a structural molecule used for growth, you think about the human life cycle. At what point in our life do we grow the most rapidly? Where's our most important growth and development? Anybody? Shout it out.
Babies.
Babies, right? Birth. That's when we're growing the most rapidly. So what would be the perfect baby food?
Mother's milk.
Mother's milk, absolutely. So if we took a look at the composition of mother's breast milk, human breast milk, and we looked at what was in that, should that be a good indication of how much protein that we would need through the rest of our lives? During the period of time where we're growing the most, and that's when we're getting mother's milk, that should be a pretty good indication. So let's look at that composition again. 100 milliliters of human mother's breast milk contains roughly 70 calories, 88% of which is water, 7% carbohydrates derived from lactose, 3.7% healthy fats, and 1.3% protein. Just 1.3% protein to grow us from an infant to a walking, talking toddler. Pretty amazing. Goes back to the protein myth. It does not take a lot of protein to support us, especially once we're already grown and developed. The exception would be if you're trying to be in, Muscle and Fitness magazine, you're trying to be a huge, muscle-bound bodybuilder, you're going to need more protein to build that kind of mass, but it's a very small percentage of people that are trying to accomplish that kind of task. What I would say about protein is one of my quotes that I use quite frequently. Tony Robbins uses it frequently as well, and Adolf Hitler originally said it, that if you tell a lie long enough and loud enough, it eventually becomes the truth. And when you think about who is backing some research and who is putting these thoughts in our head about protein with advertising, etc., it comes back to the meat and dairy industry. And there is an astronomical amount of money in those two industries. I mean, you can't even wrap your brain about how much money. You think about all the chicken wings, all the burgers, all the dairy products that are out there. It's a lot of money spent on lobbying and marketing and advertising to make us think that, oh my God, our teeth are going to fall out, our hair is going to fall out, and our bones are going to break if we don't eat and consume these products on a regular basis. And I'm here to tell you, it's just not true. I'll arm wrestle somebody, can punch me in the stomach and just prove my bones are not going to break. So, think about it logically. Now, the next question that everybody asks me is, well, so where do you get whatever protein you consume as a vegan vegetarian? So I asked them, well, where do you get your protein? my macho guy friends will say, oh, I get it from eating beef, you know, I had a 12-ounce steak last night. And I say, okay, well, where did the 2,400-pound cow get its protein that created that mass that you're now eating? And they stop and think about it, and they're like, well, I guess grass. Right, so if grass and plants can build a 2,400-pound cow, you know, that protein, that structure came from somewhere. I mean, the average human weighs what? Upper hundreds. A cow is 20 times our size, and it got it all from grass. So pretty amazing. So let's do a quick protein comparison. 3 ounces of beef steak contains 21 grams of protein. Now, who eats a 3-ounce portion of steak? Yes. People eat, you know, a much larger quantity of that, but you know, for apples and apples, we're going to use 3 ounces. So 21 grams of protein, 230 calories, not terrible. 15.2 grams of fat, 6.1 grams of saturated fat, not good. These are the unhealthy fats. 81 milligrams of sodium, and 75 milligrams of cholesterol. Ouch, clogging you up. Now, same 3 ounces of wheatgrass, 1.5 grams of protein. Pales in comparison to the protein in the beef, but what does this remind you of?
The baby.
Right about the same protein. 21 calories, 0 grams of fat, 5 milligrams of sodium as opposed to 81 milligrams, and not 1 speck of cholesterol to plug your arteries up. Plus, there's no hormones or antibiotics, steroids, no animal cruelty, and the beef industry is the #1 industrial polluter in our country. So there it is, right there. And wheatgrass juice, I'm a huge fan of. I've been doing about 2 ounces of wheatgrass juice virtually every day for the last 17 years. It's an interesting taste. It's an acquired taste. It's not something I would sample at a juice tasting, but Love's right over here in Port Orange or up in Ormond has fresh wheatgrass juice. So does Fresh Healthy Cafe over at the Pavilion if you want to try some. It's a very unique taste, and it is super good for you. In fact, I'm so addicted to wheatgrass juice. When I walk into a place and smell it being juiced, my mouth starts watering uncontrollably. It's like, give me the good stuff, give me the good stuff. So anyway, for what it's worth, that's where I get my protein. So who wants to ask this guy where he gets his protein? Anybody ever seen King Kong? All right, he's at one end of the spectrum, but apes in general are 10 times stronger than a grown human man. And guess what they eat? They're vegetarians. They leaves, sprouts, nuts, seeds, beans, and you know, they're huge and they're strong. You know, they can flip over a car. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So there's a lot of plant sources of proteins. You know, like you said, the wheatgrass there, dark leafy greens. The darker green, the better. We've got an excellent example of some plant-based proteins growing on the back porch. Has anybody seen the tower in the last week? It has gone crazy. And there's leaves on those squash and beans larger than my hand now, and these started out as little bitty seedlings. So there's a lot of protein in those plants. You know, the structure of the stalks and stuff is incredible. But seeds, beans, nuts, even fruits have a small amount of protein in them to some degree. But the interesting thing about the plant sources of protein versus the animal sources is that plant proteins are extremely clean proteins. These proteins are made up of simple amino acids that the body can utilize and assimilate and absorb and utilize right away with very little energy. And there's none of the cholesterol and fats and all the other bad stuff that the body has to contend with digesting and eliminating. Animal proteins, on the other hand, they require a lot of digestion to break down. These are longer chain proteins. They take a lot of energy. They use a lot of our digestive juices, so to speak, and they require enzymes to break these proteins down so that the body can use them. And then on top of it all, the body has to process and digest and eliminate all the cholesterol and fats and all the excess waste. Yes, Josh?
I just want to hear you say that again. So there's not really like one protein, you know, soy, meat, and veggies, they're all different kinds of proteins, right?
There are different amino acids and different types of proteins throughout. Just to give you an example of, there are 9 non-essential proteins that we have to get from food, just in case you're interested. Histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, am I saying that right, Chelsea? You know all these off the top of your head, right? phenylalanine, tryptophan. Everybody knows tryptophan. It's in turkey. It's that feel-good protein that calms you down, helps you sleep, and releases serotonin in the brain. Threonine and valine. And there's a much longer list of many more, but I didn't think that would stick or be of great interest to you guys. But yeah, there are many different kinds of amino acids that create different protein structures that are broken down and used in the body differently. The good news is if you eat a wide variety in your diet, like we always say, eat from the rainbow, if you're eating a wide variety, there is very little chance that you're ever going to be protein deficient or that you're not going to get enough of a particular amino acid or protein. The problem would be, and believe it or not, I've worked with some clients that eat the exact same thing all the time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they just eat basically the same foods and they're not getting any variety. Then you start to see deficiencies and problems arise. But eat a well-rounded variety diet, eat from the rainbow, eat from each one of these categories here. And even a little bit of fish from time to time, it's not going to hurt you, especially if it's deep water, cold water fishes are best. You get your healthy fats and omegas, and you get some good proteins from them as well. The factor you want to think about is the net protein, how much protein your body actually uses. So if you go in the supplement store and you get a big container of whey protein, it's got X number of grams of whey protein and all. The question is how much of that your body can actually efficiently break down, process, and absorb and use. So it's not, once again, we've hit this before, it's not about quantity as much as it is about quality of the foods and the proteins and the fats and everything that you're consuming. Another thing, proper digestion. We have a component coming up in a couple weeks in PEP called, drawing a blank on it, but combine when you dine. Combination is key. And we're going to be talking about how to combine foods properly. So proteins digest differently than the carbohydrates and starches particularly. So one of the worst food combinations you can possibly have is meat and potatoes. And we're going to be talking about how that affects the body and creates a lot of the digestive problems that our society suffers today. Enzymes. I mentioned them briefly just a moment ago when we were talking about the digestion of proteins. But enzymes, we have these little bitty building blocks inside our body. Now, I challenged you weeks ago in business and money and all, we always think big with our goals, but health, I challenge you to think small and think inside the box or inside the body on a cellular level. Now I'm going to challenge you to break out your microscope and think even smaller. Think down to the building blocks that make up those cells in our body. And enzymes are a key part of all of our cellular activity, all of our organs, all of our tissues, all of our functions all rely on enzymes. Enzymes are basically biocatalysts in the body. And we're going to talk a little bit more detail about this in a second, but cockroaches, nobody likes them, they're pests, we spend a lot of money to get rid of them, but these suckers have been around forever. I mean, they've outlived the dinosaurs. They've been around 30 million years. Estimates show that they'll outlive a nuclear holocaust. They'll be here 30 more million years from now. And they live in some of the most putrid environments. If we tried to live in a cockroach's domain, I mean, we'd have the bubonic plague in a week probably. So how do these suckers do it? How are they so resilient? How are they so resistant to a lot of pesticides and a lot of bad environments? Any thoughts or ideas? Enzymes are the key. Cockroaches are one of the most enzyme-rich animal, if you want to call them that, on the planet. When you squish a cockroach and that nasty, milky white stuff comes out, that's called fat body, that fluid, and it's extremely enzyme-rich. And these enzymes in the cockroach are constantly detoxifying it, cleansing it. And the interesting thing, science has done studies on cockroaches. They can actually pass intelligence through their enzymes on how to deal with certain pathogens or how to deal with certain toxins. They can pass that along to their offspring through these enzymes that are passed along genetically. So it's a quite interesting concept there. Another, the honey badgers. Anybody ever seen the honey badger video on YouTube? One of the most popular videos. The honey badger gets bit by a king cobra, and the cobra knocks him out. He's out cold. You think the honey badger is dead, and all of a sudden, 10 seconds later, he pops right back up. they have this enzyme bank within them that can rapidly detoxify that venom from the snake. It's incredible. It's an adaptive evolutionary feature they've come up with. Now, something a little bit closer to home, who cares about cockroaches and honey badgers? What's in it for me, right? I don't want to get old. I want to live forever. I want to stay young. I want to keep my hair. I don't want grays. So let's talk about the aging process. Guess what's at the root of the aging process? Enzymes. Wow. At what age would you estimate that we really start to accelerate the aging process, or we really start to feel the effects of aging? If you guys can think back, and I know you're all under this age, and you haven't hit it yet, but in your lives, like, can you cite a point, maybe a time frame or a specific age, where you really started to feel a little bit older and you start to see the effects? Anybody want to share?
30.
30?
38.
38, 36.
Good.
36 and a half.
National average scientific research shows that at age 27 is where we start to age more rapidly and really start to see the effects of aging. There's a tremendous amount of research done by Dr. William Wong. I have his audiobook, and this guy's like dedicated his life to aging research and to enzymes. And the reason why, he explains it really good. Your body essentially is born with an enzyme bank, a reserve of enzymes, and then your body has the capacity to make X amount of enzymes throughout your lifetime. So call it like your trust fund and your ability to earn. But what happens is, around the age of 27, our body, something changes. You know, at 10 years old, we can fall down, skin our knees, sprain our ankle, twist our leg behind our back, and the next morning we're up and running and forgot it ever happened. But that same thing happens to us later on in our late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. We just get out of the chair wrong, throw our back out, and we're laid up for a week, or we feel that pain for quite a while. Right around the age of 27, Dr. Wong says what happens is the body realizes that it's using an exorbitant amount of these enzymes. It just released them. Oh, sprained ankle, no problem. Here's some enzyme. Let's clean up that mess. Let's get the healing process going. So it's constantly doling out these enzymes, and then it's like, uh-oh, we got a lot longer to live, so we need to start getting stingier with our enzymes. So your body starts holding back that reserve and doesn't release it as quickly. There's some great enzymatic supplements out on the market as well. Paul Bragg was a pioneer in enzyme technology. He's kind of credited with being the father of the modern health food store. I take an enzyme supplement from him. Definitely helps out with the healing process. But aging, healing, every single activity that we do, from snapping our fingers, blinking our eyes, to our heartbeat beating, it all relies on enzymes. First thing that enzymes do is they break the bond of what's called the ATP in our body. ATP is like a little battery. It's a little energy reserve that's stored in our cells, and it's the first energy that we use whenever we do anything. Then we tap into the sugars and the carbs and the fats and so on. So it's enzymes that break those bonds of the ATP that release that energy. Basically, an enzyme is just a catalyst. It's something that makes a reaction happen faster. For instance, if you're at a water park and you go down a slide, right? Big, tall slide with no water. A lot of friction's gonna take place, and by the time you get to the end, you're burned up from it, right? Throw some water in there. The water is like the catalyst. It's the lubricant. Makes it happen a lot quicker with less friction. So when you think of enzymes and what they do in the body, think of that. But like I said, from heartbeat to digestion to thought to movement to breathing to feeling to healing, every single thing we do, without enzymes, we would be dead. Now, what are the types of enzymes? Well, there's three basic types. There's metabolic or systemic enzymes, and those are the ones that are responsible for the energy release and the functionality of our bodies, our tissues, our organs, our cells. Then there's food and plant-based enzymes that we take into our body from eating enzyme-rich raw foods. And then there's digestive enzymes that line our digestive system. These are the ones that break the proteins and break down our food and make them usable for our body. So some common enzymatic reactions that we all know and many of us love. The brewing of beer. Without enzymes, beer would not be possible. Fermentation of wine. It's the enzymes that break down and ferment the grapes. Curdling of milk into cheese relies on enzymes. Leavening or rising of bread. and the fermentation of sauerkraut or kimchi. Very enzyme-rich foods, by the way. I have a fermentation crock at home. I tell people that, and that sounds disgusting. It's actually incredible, and it is essential for digestive health. If you have digestive problems, I'll always recommend to my coaching clients to implement some fermented foods into their diet. Enzyme bank. You think of it this way. This trust fund or this reserve or this savings account that we have in our bodies is getting depleted on a daily basis. Just routine, without an injury, without any problems, we're using these enzymes. And when we're storing these enzymes, we have the ability to bring more enzymes into our body. That's our earning potential by eating healthy foods, by eating raw, organic fruits and vegetables. They're the most enzyme-rich foods in the world. So we have the ability to make deposits into that bank. But every time that we have an injury or a crisis or we take a toxin into our body just from breathing normal air, all these things make withdrawals from our enzyme bank. They depreciate those assets. So how do you earn interest on your enzymes? Well, you stay healthy, you stay toxin-free, you try to, of course, stay injury-free, you do activities to help naturally detox the body, and you stay hydrated to help flush and constantly remove these toxins so they don't harm your enzymes. So, eating fruits and vegetables, if you want to get a good dose of enzymes, you have to eat raw, because something interesting happens to the enzymatic properties of food when you cook it. At about 118 degrees, some people say 115, but 118 is about the limit where the enzymes die. So if you're drinking a juice that's been pasteurized, that's in a carton, that's been cooked. Even if for a brief second it's been pasteurized, it's cooked, and virtually all the enzymatic activity has died. It's now a dead food. If you're eating meat, interesting thing, meat is dead when you eat it, right? I don't think any of us are gonna pick up a live rabbit or go take a bite out of a live cow like a tiger. It's dead, and as soon as that animal dies, it releases a different enzyme in the body to start the decomposition process. Ash to ashes, dust to dust, everything goes back to earth. So we're ingesting now a death enzyme into the body. So we have to cook meat to make sure that we're cooking out all the harmful pathogens, bacteria, et cetera, that attack meat and decompose it along with the enzymatic activity that's already decomposing it. So when you eat a fruit or a vegetable or you go pluck a leaf off the living tower out there, is that alive?
Yes.
Yeah, you're eating a living food that has living enzymes in it that are making deposits into that enzyme bank in our body. So just think of it that way. Yes, Gretchen?
What about fresh, frozen fruit?
I would say frozen is a lot less harmful to the enzymes than cooking, but it does denature them as well. Chelsea, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, it depends on when they're picked too. If they're flash frozen, that it still destroys some of the enzymes, but it's still different than cooking them. The same with flash frozen vegetables too.
Yeah, so freezing not nearly as bad as cooking, but even when you pick a fresh orange off the tree, it starts to die and you start to lose enzymatic activity. Dr. Wong's research is phenomenal, how they were able to look at a fresh orange on a tree versus one that had been sitting on the counter for a couple of days, and you see the enzyme activity start to fall off. So fresh is always best. Of course, growing it yourself is the best. Not all of us can do that, so buying fresh and local and organic is important too. Yes?
I like to keep my fruit refrigerated. Does that kind of slow down the decomposition process a little bit?
It does. Each fruit's going to break down a little bit differently, but refrigerating certain ones is going to help. Other ones I don't refrigerate as well. Chelsea, what about you? What's your take on refrigeration?
There are some that should be, some that shouldn't be. Like tomatoes is one that you don't really want to refrigerate because it kind of speeds up the decomposition process. Something like an onion you don't want to refrigerate. A sweet potato you don't want to refrigerate. But berries, things like that, then yeah, those are better to refrigerate.
I refrigerate all this. That's so crazy.
I know what you're gonna do
Just about
tonight.
it, but I
Like,
will
oh,
not
wow.
refrigerate them.
Then your animals will eat them.
Yeah, my bananas stood out. My avocados, I don't refrigerate them. Now, if the
Yeah.
avocado is getting too ripe too fast, I can put it in a refrigerator and it'll extend it about a day or so.
Yeah.
And it'll help slow down the ripening process. Certain things you can put together that'll help ripen them faster. If my avocados are stalk green, I'll put them in a brown paper bag with a couple bananas and roll it up. And the gas release from the bananas helps to ripen the avocado quicker. So it's pretty interesting how things happen in nature. But yeah, so there's no set answer to that. Some yes, some no. Tangible takeaway for today. I want you guys to really take an introspective look at your life, and I want you to think about habits. And they're tough to think about, I know, because most of them are unconscious to us. So poll a friend, a family, and just say, is there any habit that gets on your nerves? I know I do a little something. I click my cheeks when I'm thinking for some reason. I do it unconsciously. It's a relatively new habit, but my accountability partner out there is happy to remind me all the time how annoying it is. So I try to refrain from that habit and do something positive instead.
So she's gotta get leverage, you gotta leverage on yourself to change the habit.
Give me the $100 bill. So, poll responsibility. But poll an accountability partner and find out if there's any habits about you. And then think about those things that you truly want in life and what little habits you can implement to help get you on that path quicker. Can everybody do that? Say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. All right, guys, let's close out with some energy and some positivity. We are going to start on the wealth side first now. On 3, after me. 1, 2, 3.
I'm appreciative of time and every moment I am alive, especially now. I invest my time daily in my most valuable asset, me. I am grateful for everything in my life, whether it's a blessing or a challenge, tremendous or tiny. I'm a motivated, self-starting doer who shuns procrastination and hesitation. I will use my experiences, whether good or bad, right or wrong, to evolve, learn, gain wisdom, and grow.
Health side on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I may not be a doctor, but I'm earning my PhD and practicing health daily. I will underwrite my own insurance policy and do everything possible to maximize my life and protect my health. I will achieve wellness by creating balance in my life. I realize that my greatest wealth is in my health, and I strive to become wealthy every day. I'm strong, beautiful, unique, energized, and passionate, and I'm getting healthier, happier, and more successful day by day.
Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, and say,
memorize it? I started thinking about that while doing it. I don't have it memorized.
Mike's good, guys.
Hopefully by the end, we'll